Hello. Okay. Just waiting for people to turn up. Time is at 5:30. This might be a good time because Sunday night you might have just got the kids to bed if you're on the East Coast. So, okay. I'm here in Vancouver. It's 5:25 here. Where are you? What part of the world are you in? Got a couple people on YouTube. So where are you from? Got a siren going by. I live downtown. I wear, those armbands that you can buy and they're lit up. They're reflective in that because I got hit by a car walking across the street in October. And I'm still in physio, but I'm better. Anyway, Fort Wayne, Indiana. Hi, Margaret. And but yeah, such a good idea. If you've got kids or dogs or yourself, if it's dark out, get those light up armband things. They're fantastic. Okay, you caught the beginning of a live. Oh, excellent. Long Island, New York. Yeah, I'm just revving up here. I haven't done a live since, I want to say Thursday. I don't know. I'm not sure. Kansas. Hi, Jessica. Okay, let me see. I'm just waiting. People are filtering in. Orlando, Florida. I don't live anywhere near California. I'm in Vancouver, but holy moly, that is depressing what's going on there. Let's just hope that there's no more people lost because it's pretty frightening. Can't imagine being caught up in that, anything like that. Anyway, I don't usually talk about current affairs on here, but yeah, I've been watching the news on that every day. Central Pennsylvania. I actually don't watch the news very often. I mean, I catch the highlights, the really important stuff, but yeah, try to avoid it. I find it depressing. And me knowing about the news isn't going to make things any better, but certain things I follow, like the fire, obviously. Australia. Whereabouts in Australia, Kath? I was in Sydney and Brisbane. My son was born in Sydney. My daughter was born in Brisbane. And we spent most of our time in Brisbane, or Brizzy. I never called it that. I remember once they shorten everything in Australia, and it was Christmas, and they said, "Welcome to Brekkie TV. I hope you're having a cheery, Chrissy morning," or something. Everything was shortened. It was hilarious. Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Winston-Salem. Is that like sister towns or something? I've never heard of that before. Ocala, Florida. Hello. Never heard of that either, actually. Okay, let's just get going. I'm just dilly-dallying here. Westfield, Indiana. Hi, Maria. You've been here before. I remember that because I remember the capital A at the end of your name. I'm on YouTube and Facebook at the same time. And Bo Kiss, Texas. Bo Kiss. Oh, isn't that a cute name? Okay, let's get going with your questions. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. Welcome or welcome back. I'm also a mom and a grandmother. And if you check out BratBusters.com, you can get my free behavior board, my courses. You can look into coaching. There's a wait list, but I'm planning on getting to that tonight, actually. And but what else? Oh, yeah, I can look at our podcast. It's doing really well. My daughter and I do the podcast together because we work together. She does all my marketing and all my planning. I'd be lost without her. Okay, Central Arkansas, USA. Drumbo, Ontario. I've never heard of that. Albury on the Murray, 4 hours from Melbourne, 6 hours from Sydney. Oh, Albury on the Murray. I'm going to look that up later. Just curious. Albury. I'll be honest. I mean, I lived in Australia for about 20 years, but I never traveled around because I got pregnant the day I arrived. And then I was just out in the suburbs raising kids for all those years. So never really saw Australia like a tourist would. So I just landed and lived and I became Australian. I was there for all those years, never had one North American friend over there. I didn't go out of my way to find North Americans, but you'd think I would have run into one or two, wouldn't you? Isn't that bizarre? Okay. I mean, I met some, but I never became friends with any Canadians or Americans. You'd think I would have in all those years. Weird. I was completely ensconced in Australia. Burnaby, BC. Oh, we're neighbors. I'm in Vancouver. Love the podcast. Thanks for your support. We love doing it. I'm shocked my daughter's doing it with me. She's very much a behind the scenes. She doesn't like to be in front of the camera at all. So she's loosening up. She's getting more into it now. It was funny because when we first started doing it, we'd film one and then she'd go, oh, I'm exhausted. I'm ready to do 5 more. So yeah, but now she's getting better. She's actually really starting to loosen up and enjoy it. Not that she wasn't good before, but it's not her thing. But she's loosening up. Okay. Suggestions to get a 3-year-old to stop yelling at mom, not dad, only mom. Yeah, you got to work on your leadership skills. Remember, their behavior is just a direct result of your parenting. It's a tell. It means he doesn't respect you. Well, I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. Anyway, that your child doesn't respect you. That's all it is. They either don't yell at you because they don't respect you or they are afraid of you. There could be one of those 2 reasons. So you don't want the fear one. You want to be respected. So yeah, work on your leadership skills. Check out, you can start with my behavior board. That's the learners with all this stuff. That's where you start. And the behavior board is completely free. You can just go to BratBusters and start there. Remember, we're not fixing kids here. We're fixing and teaching parents. You lead, they will follow. I've worked with hundreds of kids, toddlers, teenagers, managed to get respect with them. It wasn't luck. I earned that. I know how to get it. So that's what I teach. And you want to be fun too. If you're not fun, because I was volunteering with kids for decades, long before I ever even thought about starting a business. And because I love being around kids and they pick up on that too. If you're not fun and if you don't find a way to enjoy being with them, none of this is really going to work. They pick up on the fact that you can't stand being around them sometimes. So we got to find ways of helping you connect with your kids too. How do you handle teens having disgusting bedrooms? I had a couple of rules. I'm very fussy. I'm not OCD, but I'm borderline for sure. But I said, okay, when you're teenagers, that's it. You don't have to clean your rooms anymore. But I had 2 rules: no dirty laundry and no food or drinks in your bedroom. That was my rule. Because those are the 2 things that are going to really make it gross. And yeah, and then if their bedding got too gross, I'd go in, I'd tell them, I'm going in and changing your bedding. They'd usually do it on their own. Some, not as often as I'd like, but certainly after, if they waited longer than a week, I would have done it. So, but yeah, I gave them the gift of being slobs, but not in the common areas, just their bedrooms. And they each had their own bathroom too. And those were pretty clean, actually. Well, the thing is, they never really made a mess. So they were good at that because I raised them and I said, look, I love cleaning. I'll do all the scrubbing and cleaning and all that, the shining, the big stuff. But if I ever have to pick up a mess and clean under it, you'll be scrubbing the toilets. So it's funny, they never did leave a mess. It was very rare. My son got more sort of lazy as a teenager. Actually, they both kind of did at times. But yeah, they would sometimes leave dirty dishes around, but then they were pretty good at picking them up when I pointed it out. But you got to give them something. You got to give teens something. You got to start loosening up with teenagers. They're my favorite age, actually. These are my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. Number 1, listen to understand and show empathy. Don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. They already know it anyway. Number 2 is you negotiate as much as possible with teenagers. It goes something like this. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? Reciprocity, right? You give respect to get it. Number 3, with teenagers, don't sweat the small stuff. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off. We're all allowed to be imperfect. We're all allowed to make mistakes. You do it. They do it. It's okay. Number 4, don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. So when do you discuss the bad times with your teenagers? Never. What's the point? Number 5, you can be a right fighter or you can be happy. That could be said for pretty much any relationship. You can be a right fighter or you can be happy. It doesn't mean that you're rolling over and giving in to everything, but don't fight about it. Just shut up and then go back and calmly talk about it later on. What I mean by that is if you're arguing with your teenager and you go back and forth, and you're right, they know you're right too, by the way. You're right. Stop talking. Just say, I'll tell you what, let's just talk about it later. And then bring it up later when everything's calm. If you were to say something like this, hey, let's talk about it later. when you calm down. Could you imagine if someone said that to you? Think about it. We'll discuss it later when you calm down. Me calm down, you calm down. You see, it's a dig. It's a passive aggressive dig. Just because you're right doesn't mean you should keep talking. Just joined the live. How do I get my 4-year-old to stop hitting and playing mean with my 18-month-old? Put it on the behavior board. Say no being mean to the baby or to the toddler, and then follow through. The behavior board's completely free. Check out BratBusters.com and you'll see that. Put it as a rule. Oh, I share your reels with my daughter who has an out-of-control 12-year-old. How do you handle disrespectful language? It's just a tell. You don't handle that. You handle yourself. When you set yourself up as a leader, they don't talk like that. That's the thing, is everyone's trying to fix the kid as if they're broken and you're not. Set yourself up as a calm leader and they will not be disrespectful. You see, that's the way it works. Everyone's trying to fix their kids. They don't get it. It's not them. It's you. It's parent. I've worked with hundreds of kids, teenagers, toddlers, got their respect. Did I just get them? Was I just lucky? All those like decades of doing that? Was I just lucky? Got them on a good day? Nope. I had to work my butt off to get that. I earned it. Sometimes parents will say to me, my kid's just out of control. And then I'll say, are you? What do you mean by that? Do you yell? Well, yeah, because he. Do you do that? Yeah, because he or she. You see, think about it. Everything starts and ends with you. Okay, so I'm scrolling ahead to make sure you're still here. So, because people come and go in these lives. Oh, good. This is D. Silva, YouTube. What to do when my cousin's 4-year-old son hits my 3-year-old unprovoked, and my cousin says and does nothing? Should I give my cousin's son a consequence like you did with the boy with Willie? No, the parents weren't around. I was in charge because those parents were not around. If the parents weren't around, I would have said to the parents, because that was a safety thing, you're going to have to get Whaley out of the pool. I don't override parents, but if they're not there, I'm in charge. There's a huge difference. Huge. If the parents are around, none of my business. None of my business. Okay. So yeah, I wouldn't say anything. I'd just say, I'd pull my kid away and I'd just say, oh, well, they weren't getting along or something. Your cousin knows darn well what's happening. Okay. They're just in denial. Not much you can do with family. I can't help you with that. You're asking me how to control someone else's kid. I don't teach that. I would just pull my kid away and say, well, you just come over here and play with me. Yeah, I don't do that. I don't teach how to handle other people's kids. No way, because I don't do it. But if I'm in charge, that's different. But you're not in charge when the parent's around. Should I remind my 3-year-old about the consequence she's under, or warn her before it happens? Never warn them before it happens, but you can give them a little bit of warning. Like if you don't give them a warning to not do something bad, but you can give them a warning to do something good. Like if the rule is put your shoes in the cubby when you come home, you can tell them just as you arrive, remember the rule. Okay. So you can say it like that, but don't say, if you don't do it, don't go on about it. Okay. Yeah, you never. Oh, I already explained it. So I get really rusty. I haven't done a live in a few days. I used to do them every single day for a couple of years, and now I just don't have the time anymore. But you get rusty if you don't do something every single day. It's like if I skip a day at the gym, I'm lost the next day. I don't even know what to do. It's just that daily habit stuff, right? 3-year-old boy laughs at us when trying to tell him to stop. Okay. Here's what you're not going to like, though. Suggestions on how to be a leader in that moment. It's too late. You're not a leader. He's laughing at you because you're not a leader. Work on it. It's going to take time. You can't be a leader in that moment. And you're trying to address attitude. His attitude means he doesn't respect you. You got to earn that. That's a whole you can't do it overnight. You can't do it just in that one moment. You can't earn respect in one moment. It's cumulative. You've got to work on it. It's got to be daily habits. Check out the behavior board, or you might want to look into the boot camp course, the 3 to 12-year-old one. It's all on BratBusters.com. Be careful where you go. If you're going to look up, buy one of my courses, look into coaching, there are a whole bunch of imposters out there. I've got a big following these days, and there's a whole bunch of imposters out there taking money, and they can't deliver because they're not me. I'm BratBusters.com. Any link you see here, I'm doing a live, this is me. Any link that you see here in my profile or whatever, that will lead you in the right place. But yeah, be careful with that. And then people will come to me and say, well, you didn't deliver. I didn't get anything. I signed up for something and nothing happened. It wasn't me. You gave money to an imposter. But if you go to my website, that's not going to happen. So just be careful with that. I can't shut all those people down. It's impossible. They're all over there in, I don't know, in Africa or India or somewhere. And yeah, they're just going to, you shut down one thing, which is hard to do, by the way, and they just start up 10 more. So. But they can't scam you out of money if you go to BratBusters.com, which is my website. They can't scam you. It's frustrating, but it happens all the time. Is it okay to say no TV because you broke a rule when she asked for TV? It's a little bit unorganized. Check out the behavior board, Gabriella on YouTube. Check out the behavior board. It's more of a system in place, and it gives her an idea of what to do. It just sounds a little bit, we kind of go there. You've kind of gone to the next level. Like I would never use a behavior board. It's a teaching tool, but it shows a sign of change, and it gets you more organized. That's why I invented that behavior board, like, I don't know, 17 years ago. I was coaching for a whole year without it because I never used a behavior board. Why would I teach something I've never used, right? So anyway, and then I realized, I thought, well, I'm level 10 with what I teach, and you can't just go in the way I talk to kids. You got to sort of start smaller. You start with one rule at a time, whereas I would address everything in day one. But if you're just learning how to do this, you start small, one battle at a time, one rule at a time. But you got to earn it over a period of time. It's not going to happen overnight. Naomi, such a good question. A whole bunch of people asked exactly the same question. What to do when I try to explain simply to my 4-year-old why she can't do something, but then, okay, fine, you've explained it. Perfect. It's over at that point. You've already explained it. You've been very calm. Then you said, but then she flips it and starts crying and say we're being me. So that's her process. Allow her to process the fact that she doesn't like that she can't be in control. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about them processing you saying no. That's on them. Like, you can maybe listen to her if she's, yeah, you're mean. You're listening. You're like this. And then when she's finished, go, oh, well, I'm going to go do the dishes now. Like, in other words, so that's her processing. That's her anger, manipulation, trying to change your idea, trying to take control. She's trying to lead you. She's trying to get you to react to her. She's trying to take control, basically. Yeah, just, okay, whatever. You're mean. Oh, well. No way I would answer that. No way. You're mean. Well, there you go, eh? Fine by me. Wouldn't bother me at all. That's none of your business when they're doing that. Let them process it their own way. That's okay. They'll learn. If they can get underneath your skin, they just won. Whereas if you just go, alrighty then, you won. See the difference? It's a battle. It's a manipulative battle. And they only do that because it must have worked in the past. There's no way. Like, my kids never said, I hate you, you're mean. Never, not ever. Because they knew there was no point. They never would have won that. I would have said, are you kidding me? Like, good luck with that one. So yeah, it's just manipulation. And they can manipulate at a very young age. It's one of the first skills they learn. It's one of the first people skills they learn is how to manipulate. It starts with tantrums or whining, all that stuff that upsets you. They learn how to upset you to get their own way. They learn that very young. So grateful your methods keep proving true. As soon as I took full responsibility for all my reactions, perfect, everything else fell right into line. So good. Yeah, it's all you. It's all you. I specialize in teenagers, and I started my business doing teen crisis work. And one of the biggest challenges is trying to guide people into not reacting to an angry teenager. When you know the results you can get by doing this, it's easy. When you've done it too, it takes practice. But yeah, getting those parents who are angry, the teenagers angry, getting them to calm down and realize that one of you has to calm down first, and it ain't going to be them. It's got to be you. And you can be fun and crazy and wild when everything's great. It's when things aren't great, that's when you're calm, and it's all business transaction. There's no emotions in that. You're just calm as anything. Oh, well, you broke a rule, so I'll get you to wash the window and within 15 minutes, and that starts now. And then you just time. See how I'm talking? There's no way, you shouldn't have done that. Why would you do that? I just told you, none of that. That's weak. It's kind of mean too. I don't discuss bad behavior. I just deal with it. I move on fast. You can't put don't say no on the behavior board. You know what you're saying? Respect me. You haven't earned it. You're trying to demand it. You haven't commanded it. You haven't earned it. You respect me. That's like going out in public. Like me. It's an emotion that you're demanding that you haven't earned. See what I'm saying? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all. None. Yeah, it's go out in public. Respect me, like me. Have you earned it? Nope. You got to earn it. Their bad attitude is just a reflection of your parenting, your lack of leadership. That's all it is. So yeah, everyone wants to sort of demand respect, which makes no sense whatsoever. Have you ever met a leader, like someone that as an adult you look up to, like a coach? You respect me. You like me. They don't talk like that. They earn it. You don't respect and like someone because they tell you to. You do it because they've earned it. You do it because of their behavior, the way they treat you, the way they make you feel, right? It's like that with kids too. You can't demand an emotion from them. Like respect is an emotion. You can't demand that. You can try, but good luck with that. The thing is, years and years ago, you sort of could demand respect, but it was more fear-based. So there was a lot of threat behind that, a lot of fear behind that. So, yeah. But it wasn't like that's the old-fashioned authority style. Not a horrible way to parent, but it'll backfire in the teen years often. If you've got a rebellious teenager by nature, they'll rebel against an authority. They'll never rebel against a leader. Like my son said, he was about 15. He had it in him. He would have liked to have rebelled. I could see it. And he said to me one day, he says, I could never even rebel. You're too reasonable and easy to talk to. He was mad when he said it too. Yeah, my job's done. Can't rebel against a leader. Okay. My 8-year-old DX. What's a DX? With ADHD. Anxiety, ODD. ODD is not a medical diagnosis. It's just a label that doctors have told me they've given to moms to make moms feel better, which also tends to absolve moms of any responsibility for taking care of that bad behavior, right? So just scratch ODD. I can't stand it. Gets in the way. And ADAD, I don't know what ADAD is. And I don't get into all those acronyms. It's not my thing. I'm not a doctor. I just deal with connecting with kids, no matter what their diagnosis is. It doesn't matter to me. And all the kids I worked with were challenging. So I used to call them alphabet kids. They all had acronyms after their name. Physical outbursts when triggered. We're not physical family, and it's blah, blah, blah. If it's that bad, I don't suggest that you physically restrain an 8-year-old. You might have to have a few holes in the wall to deal with it. Work on yourself and your leadership skills, and it should take care of itself. If it's almost in the red zone, if he's getting really physical, you might want to look into coaching if you want to hire me. It might be more coaching. Yeah, there's a lot going on there. I can't give you a quick answer here. I'd have to work with you. Or you can check out the boot camp course. That might be all you need. If you're very good at self-regulating your learning skills. A lot of people hire me because they just want me with them when we're doing all this. And it's always more personal too. But if you're doing the course, if you can regulate yourself and be consistent with the course, A lot of people are doing very well just with the course. Some people got both because they want the course as reference down the road. But anyway, but coaching is completely different. Okay, working through week 1. Now you mean in the course, but already popped up a curiosity. What about when 11 and 13-year-old don't do what they say they are going to do? Well, is it on the board? If it's not on the board, you can't. What you could do, it's a little bit tricky to do, but if they say I promise I'll do this, I know I'll do it, you can put down no line, which means broken promises. You can put that down because they're older. You can put that down on the behavior board. So if they say they're going to do something, say, don't say you're going to do something unless you're going to do it. Otherwise, there's a consequence. So it's kind of like that. You can give that a go. But I don't know. I got a million different ideas for that, but I'm not too sure where you're at. It's kind of a tricky one to do, by the way. And I don't quite know what you mean they don't do what they're supposed to do. But if it's on the board, then there's a consequence for it. If it's not on the board, don't deal with it yet. You got to take it slow. You're learning how to do all this slowly but surely. You're not going all in. Like I would go all in day 1 with everything. But you're learning how to do this. I'm already a leader, but you're learning how to be a leader. So you got to start small. Anyway, I got to move over to Instagram now if you want to join me over there. And I'm also on YouTube the whole time. That's where all these lives are actually saved. Okay, so you can go to BratBusters.com if you're interested. Check out my free behavior board, what else have I got? Oh yeah, courses. Sorry, I was just thinking about something else. Sorry, I'm daydreaming. I'll tell you later what I was thinking about. Because I thought, what I was thinking was, am I actually on my business Facebook? Because I know I looked at my personal one, which I normally never use. So I'm pretty sure I'm on. I don't think you can do a live on your profile on Facebook. I think it has to be a page. So I think I'm okay with that, but it just dawned on me. You wouldn't all be here if it was my personal one anyway. Okay. I don't even look at that thing. Anyway, okay, so you can check out BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my courses, my coaching, and you can look into the podcast. I'm heading over to Instagram now, and I'm on YouTube the whole time. Happy parenting. We can never tell what video is going to do really well. A recent video did real. I don't even know if it was recent. Every so often a video will pick up and just go crazy. Sorry, I just got some notifications about my granddaughter. So I'm like, what's she doing now? She put a donut, those donut stacking things. She's 1. She just turned 1. So she put a donut on there. I mean, big deal. You should see us all. Oh my God. When it's yours, and it's just amazing how they do anything. And you're like, oh my God, it's wonderful. It's hilarious. We're all like that. And she turns around like, aren't I wonderful? It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch. As much as I love being a grandmother, that's not the part I like the most. What's the best part about being a grandmother is watching my son be a father. I find that really heartwarming. It's beautiful. Him and his wife, they're just fantastic parents. And I find that's more rewarding than just being a grandma, if that makes any sense. Yeah, it's like full circle. You raised a kid, now he's raising a kid. So I love that. Anyway, okay, welcome to my live, or welcome back. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach, a mom, and a grandmother. So it's just yabbering about my granddaughter. Anyway, if you want to check out my website, BratBusters.com, make sure it's not another website because there's lots of imposters out there stealing money, pretending to be me. We can't shut them all down. It just happens. I got a big following these days, and that's the downside of it. Okay, so watch out with that. We hear about this all the time. People getting ripped off by imposters. Anyway, I'm BratBusters.com. So it's on the link above. Anyway, so, you can go to the website and you can check out my free behavior board, my courses, my coaching, and our podcast, which we're doing twice a week now. My daughter and I do it together because she works with me. I've been running this business now for 18 years, and she's been with me now for 6 months. So I was all by myself all those years. So nice to have someone, because it's my daughter. I can tell her anything. She's got access to everything. It's wonderful to have a partner like that. Okay. I have 1 2-year-old boys. Which one needs more attention? They both do. Just because one isn't demanding doesn't mean they don't need the attention. Oftentimes we tend to feed or oil the squeaky wheel. Make sure that you kind of balance it out. And they might need different types of attention. One might be more cuddly. Just because the other one isn't cuddly doesn't mean they don't want your attention. They might want you just nearby playing with them. So yeah, I would say both. Although I was going to say the 1-year-old might be more physically demanding because they need more care, but 2-year-olds can be pretty crazy. So where is the line between a tantrum and showing emotions from being upset? Well, it depends what they're upset. If they're upset because they didn't get their own way, because you said no, I ignore all that stuff. You're mean. Oh, whatever. All righty then. Like, I ignore all that stuff. Yeah, if they're just an outburst at not getting their own way when they shouldn't get their own way, ignore it. But you completely ignore tantrums. But if they are yelling at you saying, you're mean, I would make a point of looking at them and saying, okay, then. And off you go. In other words, you can't manipulate me. That's what you just said. In other words, I'm not changing my mind. You're not in charge. I'm in charge. Don't say any of that stuff. But that's what you've just said when you say, oh, okay, then. In other words, I can't be manipulated. By the way, I do specialize in teenagers. So if you have teenagers and you have any questions about them, you can ask. I can't always answer those questions easily because I usually need more background information with teenagers. But sometimes I can answer it. Okay. Oh, such a good question, Lisa Raw. How do I build? I love this question. Such a good question. How do I build my 3-year-old son up without empty compliments? What do I say to help make him feel good about himself? They don't care about praise or compliments anyway. It's a very tiny part of self-esteem. They care about the time that you spend enjoying them. Play with them. Their love language is fun and play with you. That is their love language. It's not being told you're wonderful. I'll give you an example of this. Let's say there's a 5-year-old little boy and you say to that little boy, you're wonderful, you're special, you can do anything you want, everyone loves you, you're just wonderful. I'm going to go do the dishes now. And you leave the room. This is him. But you say to that same 5-year-old boy, hey, what are you doing? Can I play too? That builds his self-esteem. Is your connection with him, enjoying him, playing with him in his world. That is how you build self-esteem. Praise and compliments are empty. I don't care about them either. Even as an adult, I hate all that charm and phony crap. Yeah, just spend time with me. Laugh at my dumb jokes. I'll follow you anywhere. If you laugh at my dumb jokes, I'll follow. I always think I'm funny. I've been told by a lot of people I'm funny, but I'm not always funny. But if you laugh at my jokes, being funny is important to me because it's a part of my identity. So that's my love language. Yeah, laugh at my jokes. Well, it's one of my love languages, but it's right up there. So you see, it's not always praise and compliments. And I don't like gifts and all that kind of stuff. And the big, oh, I'm going to take you here. And I don't care about any of that. Just sit and chat with me and laugh. Yeah, gifts don't mean anything to me. And it's kind of like praise and compliments. It's kind of in the empty department. Do you have any advice for bedtime? Well, I don't know how old they are, but usually bedtime battles is, it's in the toddler course, the boot camp course. It's also in the bigger course. So it's in both of my courses. It's called Bedtime Battles. And if there's 2 parts to it, how to get them in bed, then how to keep them there. So if they won't get out of the bathtub, if they're little enough, then just pick them up and get them out. Like, just because a kid doesn't want to do something doesn't mean it's not going to happen. And they don't want to brush their teeth, I'd hold their head and brush their teeth. It won't be done very well, but time to brush your teeth. No. Whoop. My kids learned not to fight me. And they just learned when it was something that had to be done, I followed it up with an action. Okay, we're going out the door now. If my kids had tried running from me, thinking it was funny, I would have found them, picked them up under my arm, picked their shoes and clothes up in the other hand, put them in the car. Like, once I've said we're doing something, I might give them a bit of warning. We'll be going in 5 minutes, whatever. But yeah, Follow it up with action. I don't know how old your kids are. Are they 8 or 2? So it's a little bit hard to answer. I need an age, really. How long does the behavior board take to start working? I've followed everything you say. Okay, well, I'm going to read the whole question because a lot of people, I'm sure, would have the same question. How long does the behavior board take to start working? I've followed everything you say, and my 4-year-old won't do the positive consequence and ever, then doesn't care about negative deprivation ever. You might have the wrong rule down. The positive consequence, I don't worry about that one. Don't worry about, but the negative one has to be one that hurts, has to be one that would bother them. Okay, it's usually 24-hour media blackout. Now, just because they say it doesn't bother them doesn't mean it doesn't bother them. So don't worry about what they say. You know if it bothers them or not. If you have to find something that bothers them, take something away that bothers them. You might have to invent leverage. I don't like even telling people this one because they tend to want to use it right away because it's kind of the big kahuna, but we don't want to start there. You invent leverage. You say, okay, so you don't have to, okay, so you didn't do the positive action. So we were going to surprise you by going out for ice cream tonight, but now we're not going to do it. Okay, do you understand? You were never going to go anyway. Okay, if I'm good tomorrow, will we go out for ice cream? No, it's just going to be a surprise. I don't owe you that. It's going to be a surprise treat. Don't get pulled into rewarding for good behavior. That is a really bad trap to get into. You never, ever, ever reward for good behavior. That's my baseline. If you reward for good, could you imagine if your husband or wife said to you, you were good today, I'm going to give you a treat. What the hell was I yesterday? Like, it's an insult, really. It's not, it's just treat good behavior like your normal baseline. That's normal to be expected. Yeah, frugal mom. Well, I don't know. I don't know your situation. You'd have to hire me for coaching if you want me to assess the whole situation. But yeah, I've never not been able to find something that doesn't work. Yeah, so might have to do some digging. Just keep watching. If you don't want to hire me, just keep watching. You might get some ideas, but I don't know your situation. I don't know. Yeah. By the way, we're doing the podcast now. We do it twice a week now. It just took off. 2025 is going to be the year of the book. I've been approached by a lot of publishing houses to do a book. We were going to pull the plug and do it. Now, what happened was a few months ago, we started a podcast. We didn't know, but it's taken off. So now the podcast has taken precedence over the book. So we still might do the book. But why I'm talking about this is we're looking into figuring out a way to bring you in on the podcast somehow. But we've got to make it very entertaining for everybody. Like, we can't just make it for one person's coaching for the whole session, unless it's something that would apply to a lot of people. But it would be basically like one-on-one coaching, but on a podcast. So you'd have to be willing to come on, sign away your privacy kind of stuff. You wouldn't pay for it. It would be free, of course. So we're trying to figure out how to do that. So if you have any ideas, if maybe you know some other podcast that does it, there's a lot of, the thing is that we don't tend to follow what other people do in anything. We do what feels right to us. So my daughter and I just haven't quite figured out what feels right to us, because it's such a sensitive business. Like my clients, my private coaching clients, their privacy is really important. So this would be public, although we've done group coaching with the course before. It's not going to be a regular thing at all, but we've done it. So people know that it's public. So, but yeah, if you have any ideas on how you'd like us to do that, let us, we're very open to suggestions. What would work for us, in our business, because we're very careful with parents. So yeah, let us know. How to get my 3-year-old to stop saying vile things when he is mad or lying. That is, if he says rude words, you can put on the behavior board, no bad words. You could put that. And name calling could be no bad words or name calling. And you have to explain to him what that is. So yeah, I would put that. Use the behavior board. It's completely free, the behavior board. It's somewhere. It's in the link there. It's on my website, BratBusters.com. Delegating chores, task, 5.5-year-old. How would you respond to, why do I have to do everything? The complaining. Just say, oh, who knows? There's no way I would address that. Why do I have to do everything? That's just manipulative. It's, they're just trying to get you. They know they're not doing everything. They're not stupid. Why do I have to do everything? They're hoping you're going to explain yourself. If you explain yourself, they just won. If you explain yourself for something that's so obvious that they should be doing, like a chore, cleaning up, making their own bed, if they say, why do I have to do everything? When you've asked them to make their own bed, it just makes perfect sense because you sleep in it, right? But they're 5.5. They understand that. So if you were to answer that, why do I have to do everything? Just say, who knows, and walk away. There's no way I would answer that. If you were to get into a conversation about something obvious like that, they just won. You might even see a smirk from them. They just instinctively know they've just won. They've got you explaining yourself. As soon as you start explaining, you look weak. Because you've already, okay, so from now on, your chores, you have to make your bed and do this. That is the explanation. Then if they choose not to do it, why would you repeat yourself? They're just trying to manipulate you. They're just trying to get under your skin. And it's amazing. You know, you've got history with kids, but it's amazing when I've worked with kids, if they try that on me, they rarely will try it twice. If they say, why would, oh, Lisa, you're mean. I go, yeah, mean old Lisa. Anyway, let's get back to work. They hardly ever say it again because it doesn't bother me. I'm like, yeah, I can't be manipulated by you, right? That's all that is. They rarely would do it twice. Maybe the teenagers might try a few different games because I used to work with troubled teenagers. Yeah, they were a little bit more challenging. But kids, yeah, they would rarely say it twice because they think, oh, she's a leader. What's the point? They always relax under a leader. It makes them feel good. Leaders make them like themselves and makes them feel good. Their self-esteem increases when they're with a leader. Therefore, they don't tend to be snotty with a leader because they like themselves. You can't be snotty if you have high self-esteem and you like yourself. It's impossible. You can't be mean if you're happy. And you're happy when you're with a leader. Leaders bring out the happiness. So work on your leadership skills. Remember, it's never them. We're never fixing kids. They're just a reflection of your parenting. You work on yourself. Everyone wants to blame their kids, but not themselves, which I always find fascinating. Why would you rather blame your kids than yourself? Like, they're just the victims of your parenting. That's all they are. That's it. The sooner you take responsibility for their behavior, the easier your life will get, and the happier they will be, and the happier you'll be too. That's all I teach here. We are in week 5 with a 1, 4, and 6-year-old. Okay, so you've gone through the course and you're in week 5. Okay, I find we are starting to give warnings about consequences and media blackout. Is this okay? Or best to go straight to the consequence? Do not give warnings because then you become part of it. You want them to be self-disciplining. You don't want to be disciplining them. You're becoming the disciplinarian. I don't do that. You know, my kids learned self-discipline by about 3 to 3.5 years old. They knew if they made a poor choice that mom was going to come in with a consequence. No anger, just, oh, well, you didn't make your bed, so here's the consequence. You can make my bed tomorrow or help me make it. They were little. Okay, so, and they just would. So yeah, as soon as you start becoming part of it and micromanaging them and nagging them, you're not a leader anymore. They are kind of manipulating you. So yeah, don't. Just go straight to the consequence. But I forgot. Well, you'll know next time, won't you? That's all I would say. The calmer, the better. The less words, the better. Well, you know you're supposed to do that. I don't talk like that. Say, oh, all right, you forgot to do that. So let's go to the board. Now let me see. Or you're not using the board in week 5, perhaps. Some people like to continue using it. That's up to you. People tend to go at different levels. So you might, like week 4 is when we do in the moment discipline. You're pulling away from the behavior board more and you're starting to address everything. So if they already know what the chores are and they didn't do it, then you just say, oh, I noticed that you didn't do your chores today. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to get you to da-da-da-da-da. But I forgot. Well, you'll know next time, won't you? It's that simple. Like, I don't get pulled into the attitude. The attitude is them testing your leadership. Most parents fail that because they don't realize it's just a test. They're just testing you. Like if the kid said, like that 8-year-old kid who said, I'd never met him before. He didn't know who I was. And they asked me to work with him. And he said to me, the first time I met him, he's 8. I heard about him. I'd never met him. And I'd seen him, but I never met him. Anyway, and he said to me the first time I was going to work with him, he says, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to have a fit. And I said to him, bring it on. And he never did. It was like, you can see it. He went like this. Oh, She knows what she's doing. And he was great with me. Wonderful. They don't want to be rotten. They don't want to be having fits. They are challenging you to be a leader so they can like themselves. Look at the pool story. That is, if you go to YouTube and you look up BratBusters pool story, just search BratBusters pool story on YouTube, it'll pop up. It explains this. I deal with bad behavior like a business transaction, no emotions, don't discuss it. I just deal with it. And then I focus on the good kid. That's leadership. Okay. Okay. What if they don't do the consequence? You tell them 24-hour media blackout, but they turn on the TV anyway and will fight you if you try and turn it off. That's next level. If they're getting physical and fighting, that's next level. Yeah, that I can't tell you. I don't know how old they are, but you didn't put the age down there. But that's kind of next level. You might want to look into coaching. If you're that out of control and they're physically fighting you, that would be coaching. You can try the course. Some people are doing well with the course. Maybe you're new and you don't have any system in place yet. You got a 2-year-old stomping when they don't like something. So that's their business. That's not your business. Allow them to process not getting their own way. Allow them to process not being in charge of you. Allow them to process not being the leader. That's okay. That's how they process it. Love the pool story. Yeah, I've got another story. I don't tell it anywhere but coaching, but it's the same idea, but it's on steroids with a teenager. It's the pool story on steroids, but it's the exact same idea. I deal with bad behavior, but I focus on the good kid. Always. All my energy and focus goes into connecting and bonding with the kid. That's what leadership is. Leaders treat people. Leaders bring out the best in people. They don't focus on the worst. They deal with it, but they don't focus on it. I put my energy and my focus on the good kid. Sometimes I have to dig to find it. I used to tell the teenagers, I remember one, so I always used humor with teenagers. I remember one, I said to him, he was being so vile. And I didn't know him that well yet. And I said, look, I can't work with you. Like I mother kids as a mentor, I mother them. And I said, look, I can't work with you if I don't like you. And I said, I can't find anything to like. You're so repugnant. And he laughed. And I, tried not to. And I said, you got a sense of humor. I can work with that. So, I kind of pointed it out, but I used a lot of humor. So, yeah. But you got to know your audience. I kind of knew. I had a reputation for being funny, so they kind of knew where I was coming from. And he was kind of getting a little bit used to me at that point. You don't start with that. Shoot, I have to move over to TikTok now if you want to join me over there. Are you actually losing, Americans? Are you losing TikTok? I don't know. Everyone seems to think someone's going to come in and save the day. I don't know. It'll be really interesting. Anyway, TikTok has a real soft spot because that's where I really blew up on social media 2 years ago. I went on there in my bathroom just talking to myself in a mirror, and it just blew up overnight. And so that's it. Yeah, it was bizarre. So I have a real soft spot for TikTok. So I'm already, I'm sort of got a lot of platforms now anyway, but I'll survive. But still, I would miss I would miss all the Americans on TikTok if they took it away, because we're neighbors. You're probably my biggest followers, probably Americans. Yeah, I'd be really sad if you guys left TikTok, but hopefully you'll be over here on Instagram. So I'm going to be moving over now. You are losing it. Then I thought it was, how sad, eh? Anyway, I'll be on Instagram. The thing is, I might not do as many lives on TikTok then, because we'll see how my TikTok audience goes down. It is my biggest platform. We'll see how it goes down. If it goes down drastically, my daughter will tell me what to do. She does all the planning and that. But anyway, so yeah, we'll see. It'll change things for a lot of people. So check out BratBusters.com. You can see my free behavior board, my courses, my coaching, and you can look into our podcast. My daughter and I do it together. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast, and it's on all the platforms. And we're having a blast doing it. So it's quite new. It's only been out for 3 or 4 months now, but it's doing really well. So we're just thrilled. Okay, thanks so much for that. And I'm moving over to TikTok now, and I'm on YouTube the whole time. Bye now. Yeah, I'd be really sad if TikTok ended in the States. Yeah, so I have, now I'm interested. This isn't my thing. My daughter does all this, but my TikTok, I have 753,000 followers on TikTok. I wonder how many of those are American. I would guess most. But a lot of my clients are all over the world. So, yeah, we'll see. Very curious. But yeah. Okay. So I'm just waiting for TikTok now. Hello. Just waiting for everyone to turn up. I'm on YouTube the whole time. TikTok's always my last stop when I'm doing a live. So my voice is getting a bit sore. It's usually the shortest period of time I'm on the live, just because my voice starts to go. Because it's different when I'm coaching, because it's back and forth. But when I'm doing a live, I'm all by myself. Even when I'm doing the podcast with my daughter, there's more back and forth. But yeah, this is the only place where it's just me talking. Like, I hate doing speeches or anything. This isn't quite a speech, but I always prefer back and forth. It's how I work best. Just waiting for everyone to turn up. We got enough people here. I'm all sad and boohooing because looks like TikTok's going to be ending in the United States. So I'm very sad about that. Where to follow you when TikTok gets banned? I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, BratBusters Parenting. So, but be careful on Facebook. It's BratBusters Parenting. There's an imposter on there who's got a huge following pretending he's me. I don't want to say who it is because I don't want to give him any more credit, but it's frustrating. So yeah, I'm BratBusters Parenting. If you go on the link above, you'll see my website here. It's bratbusters.com, and it will lead you to all my other platforms. It goes TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and then YouTube's quite small. But because it's not a YouTube is a search engine. It's not social media. It's not where people go to chat. It's where people go to search things. So it's quite different. But yeah, so that's how it goes. I mean, we'll be fine. I feel bad for all the people who are like American and they run their businesses strictly on TikTok. I feel bad for them. Yeah, Valentina, that's Joel Mayo or whatever his name is. Is that the right name? I've reported that imposter a few times now. Yeah, Facebook said they won't shut him down. And he said that he's not doing anything illegal. But he is taking money from people in the membership. I can't imagine what he's giving them because he's not me. How on earth can he give them anything? I don't know. So interesting. I might have got that name wrong. It didn't sound right. My daughter would know. She handles it. She's the one who tells me all this stuff. I never actually go on any platforms. She just tells me what's happening. She's in charge of all that stuff because I hate it. I hate it because I don't understand it. You know, I can't even find, like if I'm on Facebook, I can't figure out how to go from my personal one to my business one. Useless. Okay. How do I get my 4-year-old to eat by herself and not have to encourage her? I don't quite know what's going on there. Like, what do you mean eat by herself? I would sit with her. I never left my kids to eat alone. I always sat with them, even if I might not be eating when they are. So I don't quite know what you mean. I'm assuming she snacks. If she doesn't eat a meal, does she get a snack later? My kids knew if they didn't eat their meal, it was in the fridge waiting for them. So they just ate. Could that be it? I don't know. Could be a million different reasons why that's happening. So that would be a million different solutions. Okay, maybe not a million, but you know what I mean. From Instagram to YouTube. Hello, everyone. Agent Eric Tam. I follow you on Instagram. Yeah, I am sad about TikTok leaving the United States. It just makes me boohoo. But we don't, and it doesn't pay Canadians. TikTok will not pay Canadians. I would have made, if I lived somewhere else, I would have made hundreds of thousands of dollars on TikTok. I figured it out once. And yeah, but no, we don't get 1 cent on here. So China, I don't know why. So now the Americans they won't be working with, they won't pay the Canadians, but we have TikTok, but they won't pay us any residuals. Like they're making lots of money. They're making lots of money off me, but I don't get any of that. And that's okay. I'm not complaining about it, but I don't quite know how it all works. I don't know if anyone does. That's okay. I don't need to know everything, thank God, because I sure don't. The older I get, the less I realize I know. Okay, I don't even know if I've introduced myself on here. Have I I think I did. Anyway, I'm a parenting coach. And if you go on my website, BratBusters.com, pretty sure I did this already. You can see my free behavior board, my courses, my coaching, and you can look into the podcast. Anyway, I'm just waiting for your questions. 3-year-old son is biting at school, but never at home. Well, you just say no biting and then let the teacher report to you and let the teacher do whatever they do. Never micromanage a school. They know how they handle stuff. And then tell them I'll be dealing with it at home also. So, but yeah, they don't usually bite. If they're biting at school, they're doing something different at school. They probably don't have any little kids, like they're biting other little kids, little victims, right? Maybe they don't have that at home. Or maybe there's another kid that they just don't like and they're just biting them. I don't know. It could be so many different reasons for that. I don't know, but just put it on a behavior board, say no biting. Teacher will be telling me if you bite. And then they do whatever they do. Well, she already punished me. That's okay, but here's your consequence at home. So don't argue that. Don't explain yourself. You said, I follow you and Barbara O'Neill to a T. I don't know who she is because I don't know if she teaches parenting. I don't know anybody else out there. I have never looked up anybody else. Well, for one thing, I only teach what I know through my own personal experience. Plus, I don't know why I would look at someone else. Yeah, I don't know anyone else out there. Nobody. Not one person. If I'm ever criticizing a method, I'm never criticizing a person because I don't know who is teaching it. I've been asked to be on some pretty big shows on a panel of parenting experts. Could you imagine me arguing with other people? I just think it's tacky. Yeah, I would never do that. Do you think calling children brats is helpful or hurtful? Well, I've never done it, so I don't know. That's up to you to decide. You didn't put an age down there, so I don't know. 3-year-old isn't too young for behavior board. The behavior board starts at the age of 3. So that's when their frontal lobe cortex doohickey thing, they're starting to learn how to stop and think before they act. In other words, they're starting to develop the ability to reason. Under that age, they're more about impulses. Even though they know right from wrong, they don't always have the strength to control the impulse. And they learn through consistent corrective actions when they're toddlers because they learn more through a knee-jerk reaction. Physically, if they've been held back from something long enough, they eventually will stop doing it. It's like they'll touch a hot oven 10 times, but they might not touch it the 11th. It's not so much a thought process. It's more like body memory. They learn differently when they're little. Okay. Do you have any books for purchase? No, I haven't written a book yet. And I've never read a book on kids or parenting or anything. So I can't recommend one. You like my advice about washing windows? Okay, it's an easy thing. Give a kid a wet rag and just get them to wash one window panel. That's a good consequence. But it can be anything. Don't get caught up in what the consequence is. It's just doing a good deed. It could be emptying the cutlery from the dishwasher into the cutlery drawer. It could be cleaning the toothpaste out of the bathroom sink. Keep it simple. They've got 15 minutes to do the chore, but it might just last 2 minutes. Would you modify any of your parenting recommendations for a 5-year-old with ADHD? That's all the kids I learned this with. They're not different people. They just have some different tendencies, but they still have the same feelings, the same emotions. So yeah, and that's what I'm working with here. I'm working with feelings and self-esteem. And that's where I learned all this. I didn't learn much with my own kids because they were, I got respect when they were little and kind of sailed right through the teen years. I earned that though. And, but it was all the kids I worked with that they all had acronyms after their name, ADHD, WXYZ. That's where I learned all this. But I do suggest if you're going to take parenting advice from someone, there's 3 criteria I would highly recommend you look for. They have to have worked with hundreds of kids, because how can you teach parenting if you've only raised 2 or 8 kids? You have to have had experience with hundreds of kids. So you've seen it all kind of thing. That's number one. Number two is they have to have finished the job with their own kids. If they haven't lived with and raised teenagers into full adulthood, responsible adults, how can they teach parenting? How do they know how it goes? How do they know where they're headed? And the last one is they have to have found parenting easy. If you're taking parenting advice from someone who's complaining about how difficult it is, run. I'll admit I found it easy. It was obviously my thing. I was raised to be a mother. That was just my thing. That was my skill. A lot of things I suck at, but parenting came easy to me. I've had tons of experience with kids before I had my own, and I always just kind of had a lot of instincts about how to treat kids. So yeah, it was easy for me. So yeah, don't take parenting advice from someone who struggles with it. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, it's sort of like taking financial advice from someone with $10 in the bank. It doesn't make any sense. Like, would you take business advice from someone who's in debt, struggling? You know, it's kind of like that. It's just heavily experience based. And I'm sure there's lots of other old people out there like me. A lot of it's just common sense too, because they are still people. Parents tend to forget that. Kids are still people. They have the same feelings and emotions like us. I'll give you a good example of this. A lot of parents tease their children about having a crush. I think it's mean. It's still, their heart is still as wrapped up in that feeling as an adult's would be. You know, I'm a horrible tease. I used to lay under the bed waiting for my son to walk by and grab his ankles. But he loved it. He was like me. I would never have done that to my daughter, by the way. She didn't like it. But my son and I are more similar that way. Anyway, but I never teased about a crush. If they came home and they liked someone, I'd say, "Oh, do you have a crush on them?" I said, "Oh, that's so much fun. Oh, I remember when I had a crush." I said, "Good for you." I said, "Doesn't it feel good?" And, you know, and then when they'd get hurt, I'd say, "Yeah, that's just part of it. That happens, but I know it hurts." So yeah, I never, ever teased about love, because you want them talking to you when they're teenagers, and that will stop it. They won't talk to you if you tease them. Can you imagine if someone said to an adult, "Oh, I hear you like Johnny." Ooh. You know? So that's why I said they're still people. They still have very similar feelings. If they have a crush on someone, it means love is involved. It may be superficial love. You know, they don't really know. You know what I mean? It's different. It's not going to last more than a week usually. But still, then it's matters of the heart. So yeah, never tease about that. This is where my voice starts to go, is by the time I get to TikTok, I've been talking for over an hour. Excuse me. Okay, this is from Rorena M on YouTube. I have a 3-year-old strong-willed. By the way, strong-willed can be good or bad. Like, it can work for you too, if they're really determined to do the right thing. So if I ask him to do something, they will answer no. What can I do in this case? Just put down an expectation, like make your bed, or put your shoes in the cubby when you get home. Put that on the behavior board and start there. You're not going to address everything at once. You're going to start small. So check out the free behavior board. It's on BratBusters.com, and just put a rule down there and then start from there. You got to earn this respect. You got to set yourself up as a leader. Remember, they're not listening to you because they're reflecting your lack of leadership. They listen to leaders. Okay, I've worked with hundreds of kids. I managed to get respect with all of them. They listen to a leader. They don't listen to a non-leader. So you got to work on yourself. It's never about them. It's about you. And I do specialize in teenagers. They're a lot more work. It takes more time. Yes, but it's still doable. And with teenagers, you're not so much a leader. You're there for the big stuff, but you want to encourage them to think for themselves and be their own leaders. You got to respect them enough to give them a lot more power and give them a lot more leeway too. How to explain to a 4-year-old why you're ignoring your 2-year-old tantrum? Oh, just say because they have to get that out of their system. That's up to them. That's okay. Yeah. You don't need to explain that to your 4-year-old. Like, are they asking in a rude way or just curious? Just say, yeah, that's up to them. They'll figure it out. We can't bother them when they're figuring that out. It is. It's a process. They're learning that you're in charge. Behind every fit, scene, meltdown, and tantrum is a lesson. If you interfere in that, the lesson is over. It's gone. As soon as you start talking about it, talking to them, it's gone. There's no lesson. My 6-year-old is taken to saying, I don't love you. I should be in heaven. Nobody loves me. Help. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. That would be, to be honest, if they start saying I should be in heaven, that's red flagging for me. You would have to hire me for coaching before I would even discuss that. I'm not saying that they're serious about it, but yeah, I can't comment on that now. You'd have to hire me to discuss that. I specialize in crisis work. I'm not saying that's crisis, but as soon as anything like that is said, I can't discuss it on here. It would only be coaching. And I always take that. I don't ever whitewash that. But there's ways of dealing with it. Okay. Okay, dinner routines for picky eaters. I can't really discuss nutrition because I'm not a doctor or a nutritionist, but I'll tell you what I did with my own kids. I'm a real health food nut, and when they were growing up, I made everything from scratch. God, I hate cooking, but I did it anyway. And I made everything from scratch, and I was really good at cooking around their taste buds and hiding healthy stuff in there. So if they like cheese sauce, how many vegetables do you think I'd pureed and put in the cheese sauce? The first time my son had pizza when he was out, he said, the sauce was really weird. It was red. My sauce was brown because it had pureed spinach in it because I made everything from scratch. So I could hide anything and anything. I was a professional. So that's what I did. But I did cook around their taste buds. I can remember something I really hated. I think it was mushrooms and onions I didn't like. I would eat onions, but I really couldn't eat mushrooms when I was a kid. I just couldn't. I didn't have to like something to eat it, though. I was not a fussy kid at all. But I can remember I couldn't eat a mushroom. Anyway, my mother would never have expected me to. She always respected the fact that I didn't like something, but then she'd make other stuff. But not just in the meal, but she sort of cooked around what people liked. And I sort of adopted that same theory, but I was very good at sneaking stuff in because one of my kids was more on the fussy, picky eater side. He just didn't care if he ate. So if he didn't like it, he wouldn't eat much. So but yeah, I hid everything. And, there was no junk food in the house either. So if my kids didn't get that healthy food, there was no junk food waiting for them. We didn't have any potato chips or anything in the cupboard. So yeah, they knew that. But I did make a lot of cakes and cookies, but they were like dust bunnies because it was just all healthy seeds and all sorts of stuff in there. What happened? I can't remember what it was. I remember one time, one of my kids, something about, I was trying to, one of them didn't like raisins or something, and I tried to chop up a whole bunch of raisins and put them in and fake that they were chocolate chips. But I'd put a few chocolate chips pieces in there too. But yeah, they clued into that. This isn't a chocolate chip, is it? Anyway, it's funny. Okay. No, I know that, Melissa. I'm just, I'm not good at doing what I should do. I know that. Thanks, though. She said, because my voice always starts to go, she goes, cold beverages make it worse. You should have hot tea or something. I know that. Thanks for that. But yeah, I know. I like cold beverages. I rarely ever drink tea. Sometimes I will. And I don't drink coffee at all. Don't always like to do what's good for us. I'm very good at a lot of stuff, but I'm not good with what I drink. I love Diet Pepsi. It's just that's my poison. I don't drink alcohol. I'm a gluten-free health food vegan. I eat really weird. No one can feed me. I have to bring my own food whenever I go out, just because it's all healthy. And but yeah, I drink Diet Pepsi. So go figure that one out. It's like if you go to McDonald's and you get a Big Mac, large side of fries, and a Diet Pepsi. Like, it's kind of, it doesn't make any sense. But it's better to have just one bad habit than a whole bunch of them, right? But I do have a whole bunch of herbal teas. I should probably drink more of those. This is a common question. I don't have a good answer for you, though. It's Bree or Bri. When should we drop naps? My toddler's almost 3, and I think she's ready to drop naps. Both my kids drop regular napping at 12 months old, both of them. They didn't need a lot of sleep, but they would have accidental naps a lot, but they didn't have regular ones. So yeah, they're all different is what I'm saying. There is no set age. I love napping. It's one of my favorite things to do is having a nap. I'm really good at it. I always wake up happy anyway. I'm good at waking up. But yeah, there's no set age for that. They're all different. My son's almost 6 and still has regular naps. Yeah, there is no set age. It's like, when should they start walking? When should they start talking? There's sort of a cutoff. You expect that they're walking by 3, but I knew someone who wasn't walking or talking till she was 3. Then she got up, ran, and never shut up. So she just was very laid back. No rush. No rush. Imagine that, eh? 3 years old. The way her mom told that story, too, was funny. Yeah, just sat there because her little brother was walking long before she was. And she just point to something, and he'd get it for her. So she didn't have, just very laid back. They're all different. Should I discipline kids if I'm babysitting? Yes and no. It's a little bit different with other people's kids. Okay, I would ask them if you're babysitting. I had my own way. I always used leverage. I started babysitting at 11, and I remember the parents came home and they said, "Oh, they warned me ahead of time. They had a child who had a lot of special needs, and he was a bit of a handful. And they said he won't eat dinner. He's going to run around the house. He's hyperactive. Blah 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 blah." Well, with me, he ate dinner. He didn't run around the house. And they said, "What did you do?" And I said, "Well, I just used leverage." I didn't quite know the word even. I don't think I used it. But I just said, well, I brought over some games I was going to play with them. And they were different things that they'd never seen before. And I said, as soon as you eat your dinner, we'll play with this. And then I just sat there and wait. So it was just, I used incentive more. And then I would say, well, if they did act out, I'd say, I'll tell you what, because you did that, we're not going to start the game. We'll stop the game for just 5 minutes down. And then I would stop for 5 minutes. And I'd just wait. And then say, okay, 5 minutes is up. Let's start playing again. So I did discipline them, but it's different from what I did with other kids. Plus, you can just ask the parents. They might have a set way they want you to discipline the kids, or they might just be easy. Like my kids were easy. They would just respect anyone. So they're not all a handful. But I got known for being the babysitter that could handle the wild kids. But I never sat and watched TV. I was working with those kids. I was connecting and bonding with them. So I was playing games with them. You know what I mean? Like they had no reason to act out. If they had a babysitter who was going to sit and play games with them, we'd play like hide and seek, and we just played. But if they acted out or were rude, then I'd stop the play for a few minutes. So that's why they didn't act out with me. Okay, actually, I can feel my voice starting to go. Anyway, so I'm going to get going now. If you want to check out my website, BratBusters.com, you can get my free behavior board, my courses, my coaching, and look into the podcast. My daughter and I release, she does all the back end stuff. We do a podcast twice a week now. She works with me, my daughter. So she does all the marketing and all the planning. She basically tells me what to do, and I usually do it. And but yeah, she does all the planning. So she's got this podcast started about 3 months ago now, and it's going great guns. We're loving it. We're doing it together. Imagine that. I'm teaching parenting, and my business partner is my daughter. So we're just having a blast. So anyway, thanks so much for joining me, and we'll talk again soon. And I think that's it. Happy parenting. Bye now.